Okay, so start by introducing yourself, your character, and a little bit about your character.
All right, my name is Ellen Jenders, and I'm going to be playing Morticia Addams. She is the matriarch of sorts of the Addams family.
And I'm Danny Burgos, and I'll be playing Gomez Addams, and I am the dad of the Addams family.
I was doing some research, and I found that this musical is more based on the 1938 comic strip or whatever than the actual TV show. I mean, there's a big difference there, or what's the...
I think just altogether the characters are so iconic that from how they were originally created, that's what we're basing our characters on. And I mean, the through line of the Addams Family saga from the comic book to the TV show to the 90s movies.
Yeah, and I feel like the comic strips, the TV show, the movies, the characters are so iconic that not much really does change. They are that macabre family that enjoys darkness. So, like, regardless off of which series you do your research off of, you'll be getting a basic...
Pretty much the same idea.
Pretty much the same idea.
Okay. And, I mean, they were very popular. I mean, even their pinball game was, like, the best-selling pinball game ever. Mm-hmm. What makes the Addams Family, even more so than the Munsters, which came out, the TV show, the same year, 1964, what makes them more iconic than, you know, the Munsters or anything else? And there's movies and TV shows and blah, blah, blah.
I think what is part of making them so lovable is that they take what is normally looked at as ugly and macabre and weird in life, and they just love it so much, and they make the ugly pretty and the bad is the good, and
yeah,
and yet they're still this down-home family, really, and they have their values and their...
What makes them so interesting and, like, fun to me is that you can't really do anything wrong by them because they'll find the light in whatever it is that you do, or rather the darkness in whatever it is that you do. You know, like, you really can't do wrong because whatever you do, they find some sort of way to spin it into a way that works.
Well, and according to what I understand, the plot of this is that Wednesday, the older star, is dating a normal guy with a normal family. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, how does that affect the Addams family, without giving too much away, obviously, but how does it affect the Addams family in this show? I mean, does it make them question themselves, or do they just go with the flow, or how does that all work?
It's actually, it's all approached from different angles by all the different characters, because there's the big thing of Wednesday not wanting her parents to weird out this new guest that she's bringing, and I know Morticia's thrown for a loop because this is how I've raised you, and this is what I think is normal. I have a great line, normal is an illusion. What's normal for the spider is a calamity for the fly. So it's kind of, everybody has their own normal, and to the Addams family, this is our normal. And so I think trying to portray the normal, if that makes any sense, it's broad, it's comedic, it's great.
Yeah.
And
I think that's kind of the best way of putting it. Like, everyone sees it as Wednesday is bringing home a normal boy, but it really is define normal, because we are normal. So really what you're bringing into our home is abnormal. So it's really all based off of that, like, define normal.
And it's all about finding balance, I
Really?
think, too. Making sacrifices. It's a lot of, because there is so much centered on Wednesday and Lucas's relationship, and then also on our relationship, what the sacrifices we make for each other.
And I mean, what I love most about the Addams family is that they're not necessarily... Darkness isn't necessarily the foundation of their family relationship. It's all based on honesty. So everything that we do is honestly what we love and enjoy, and we just happen to embrace that in one another. And so it just happens to be this, you know, what people see and what the macabre that they think we are.
Yeah, and I was reading somewhere where it says it's kind of dark, but it's not evil. I mean, some
Exactly.
people, yeah, some people might confuse the two. But
Well, because what I struggled with that a lot when I was thinking about how to approach this character, and they talk a lot about death, and they talk a lot about how they can't wait to embrace it. And what I found comfort in is the fact that they don't want to embrace death. They're just, like, content with what comes after. they're very confident in the fact that after death comes happiness, and so they can take a lot of comfort in that, you know.
Yeah. Well, this show only came out in the musical 2010, so it's a fairly new show. I mean, when you what your experience with the Addams Family, and then finding out the show and audition for the show, did it make you oh, it's a new show, I want to do that, or was it just the Addams Family you guys wanted to be a part of this, or what was the reason you guys wanted to be a part of this?
Well, for the beginning, for me, as soon as they announced that this was going to be a part of the season, I latched on because I grew up watching, I mean, all the movies, the TV show reruns with my parents in our kitchen TV. So I was super familiar with all the characters, and I just fell in love with them from an early age because I've always been drawn to that type of stuff. So and then I did some research, looked at the music, and it's a really great contemporary piece. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, a lot of broad comedy.
Yeah. What made me fall in love with it was the fact that the music is fantastic, and I saw within the context of the season they were doing, I mean, West Side Story, which is, it has one role for a Latin man, which I am, and then it had Addams Family, which is another role for a Latin man, and they were both like two very different Hispanic men. Like one of them is kind of like more somber, and then you have Gomez, who is like larger than life and very funny all the time, and it's just, it was fantastic to see that I could like explore both sides of what I want to do as an actor within one season. So,
and you kind of mentioned the music. My understanding is that the score kind of reflects each character differently. There's a different talk a little bit about the music and how each character is.
And it does also, it has a lot of Latin flair. I mean, the opening of the show is, it has a Latin feel to it. We kind of hit all the bases as far as, I mean, in Act 2 I have a vaudeville style number. There's a lot of just contemporary musical theater, which is all of Wednesday's songs. Yeah. And
yeah, every character has like their own little motive.
Feel.
Like Morticia has a lot of the, oddly enough, the Broadway,
big broad brassy
stuff. Wednesday has a lot of contemporary musical theater. I have a lot of patter songs, a lot of like wordy things, and Pugsley has like his one sweet ballad to his sister, and it's all very like character driven. The music is very smartly written.
No, yeah, there's a lot of actors have played your guys' roles, like Baby Newworth on Broadway stage. I can't remember her name.
Angelica
but
Houston.
Yes, that's it. Yes, and you know Nathan Lane played yours ones. So you guys are kind of filling, I don't want to say filling big shoes, but there's some big actors who have ever done these roles. So does that make it more challenging, or is it just your own take? Or
I think so much of it is staying true to who we are as people and bringing that into the character too. But I mean, we have this wealth of source material that we can look at, and I mean, even the original TV show, that take on Morticia is a very different Morticia than Angelica Houston's. So and mine, and we all have our very different different spin on the character, but you're really staying true to the mold that you're given from the original source material. And
I feel like anytime that you're doing research on like such an iconic character that's been played by so many different people, you can latch on to who was your favorite. And I loved Raul Julia, who did the movies. So like he is what I kind of base my everything off of, like the larger than life, the accent, the everything. So I feel like you can like choose who played your character to your liking and kind of like create your own based off of what they've done.
And the costumes are, I imagine, a big part of this. Cause, talk a little bit about like costumes and how they maybe you become more like your characters when you got the costumes on, or?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, in any show, I think that the technical process, and even we're doing our Vondel probe tonight with the orchestra for the first time, and that's gonna be when it really sets in, when we have all that different instrumentation and like a string section where there was just piano when we were rehearsing, and so kind of when everything comes together, for me, I have this gorgeous long black wig, and it's like as soon as I put that on and go into pale face, it's like, oh, there she is. It's just a different facet, and you kind of embody the character more than it is a larger than life experience. It's crazy.
It's also different to like play with. I consider my fencing sword part of my costume, just because Scott even told me in rehearsal, he's like, you have to walk around with it. It has to be a part of your being. So it just makes you exist in a different way. Whereas like Gomez has like one extra long limb because he always has a sword in his hand, you know?
Yeah.
So it just makes you approach life in general very differently, like grander, you know?
Yeah. And the TV show is aimed for families even in the 1960s. I imagine the Broadway musical is still kind of the same way, geared towards entire family, or...
I would say the youngest can stay at home. Leave the little ones at home, but there's a little bit of tongue-in-cheek humor, but also I feel like a lot of that would...
I'd say that for the first time, I would like very openly say that fathers should come to this show. Like, it's a very like being the dad in the show. Like, there's even one song in the second act called Happy Sad about like being a father, having to watch your daughter grow up. Like, it's very dad driven. Like, you see a father going through a journey, you see a mother going through a journey, as opposed to like two people. It's like in Bye Bye Birdie, you saw this couple. Like, it was a very couple driven show.
Yeah.
And this show is like mother, father watching their daughter grow up. It's very family oriented, and like, I mean, it's in the title, Addams Family, you know? So I would say that it's a family friendly show. Like Ellen said, you should probably leave the youngest at home because there is some tongue in cheek, but it's very family friendly.
Okay. Over the years, there have been different like characters in the role. They've added some, taken some out. So I guess, how many different members of the Addams Family are in this particular one? Or, I mean, you see Lurch and Fester, I imagine.
Lurch, Fester.
You have all the typical, all the very iconic Addams are in it.
From any of the movies,
Yeah.
and like anybody you might recognize in your head, this show does a really great job of hitting all the bases, and everybody has their own little...
We have all the family members. We have Thing, and we even have Cousin It make an appearance. And it's everyone that you want to see, I would say.
Because I know there was another brother named Hubert or Newbert or something.
Oh yeah, Pubert. He hasn't been born quite yet.
Okay. Anything else about this production that you can tell me, or the readers, or anything about it? That, because I've never seen this show before, so I've seen clips on YouTube, this and that, but I've not seen it. So you guys probably know it better than I. So.
Well, let's see.
David, have you seen the cartoons? You know that Addams Family started with the New Yorker cartoons?
Yeah, the 1938.
Yeah, they're amazing. I love them.
But I don't know. What I would say makes this production special is one, it's done in the round, which makes anything that we do here special. But we've done such a great job of kind of like demolishing the fourth wall. I feel like the audience is a very active part. Not that we like go out to them and reach out to them, but they're very active in like seeing what happens, being part of what happens. Fester has a lot of great stuff that is just directed right to the audience, and it's just a very involved story. It's one of those like typical who's coming to dinner kind of things, where everyone is in on every single joke, every single step of the way, and they're not missing out. So it's a very involved, like audience-driven kind of plot. So it's fun.
Coming for a good time, lots of laughs.
Lots of fun.
Definitely.
It's very charming. Come ready to leave in a very good mood.
Yeah, it has a lot of heart.
A lot of heart.
You know, like it's just very driven by love. Literally everything has to do with love. So it's a good time.
Okay. And the last question I have is a little bit about yourselves. I know I asked you the same thing, but in case the people didn't watch this video the last time, you're originally from...
I'm from right outside of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, in a little town called Brookfield. And I went to school. I graduated last year from Western Michigan University with a degree in music theater. And so now I'm here, and I'm so lucky.
And this is your second season?
This is my first full summer, but technically my second season. I did Rent and Christmas Story last year.
Yes. Yeah. And then you...
This is my first season at Wagon Wheel. I am from Miami Lakes, Florida, It's a smaller part of the greater Miami area. And I just graduated from Florida State University in May with a Bachelor's of Music in Musical Theater.
So you both are fresh college grads, more. Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.